right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock, I have a privilege to be able to work in an air-conditioned environment. And for those out there that don't have that privilege, I often feel sorry for you. But we appreciate what you're doing out there, building the roads and all those things. It's time to talk about ways to control the climate indoors, of course. There's kind of no hope for outdoors, I guess. At least not yet. Climate Control Mechanical Services is being represented today. Brandon Wood and Adam Ham are in the studio. If you have a question about your air conditioner or anything associated with the humidity in your home, or perhaps you got an odor or something else is going on, maybe you're allergic to things and it just doesn't seem like you're getting them out of the air, that's what they do. They help clean up the air, cool it down, and make it healthier and more comfortable for all of us. And the phone number here right now, if you have a question, is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622. Brandon and Adam, good morning, guys.
Morning.
How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Is it hot out there? No. Yes. It's hot. It's hot right now, right? So,
You can pretty much assume that till
you are
October.
in the business of keeping people cool, but you're got to be always hot because you're always out there fixing stuff.
Yeah, that's part of the job, I guess.
See, that's the irony, isn't it? I mean, your job is to keep people cool, but
we're the ones sweating.
You're in the heat, and even worse because you got to go into attics.
I went into a fun one yesterday.
Yeah,
you went into a fun one. What happened?
Yeah, it was just a attic at a commercial call, and the unit was upstairs. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it was about the hottest possible part of the day, and it gets warm up there. You got to be careful. Drink lots of water.
Yeah,
we drink a lot of water. But it is ironic because a lot of people think, oh, you're lucky you do air conditioning. Well, yeah. I'm never in the air conditioning.
Yeah, so, I'm the lucky one. I'm in air conditioning all day long. Yeah,
exactly. So,
well, they say it's healthy for you. I should get out there more. I should sweat more.
That's what we heard you talking about with Jim.
Yeah,
about getting out and playing some golf. We do plenty of sweating, that's for sure.
Yeah. If it's not healthy, I'm in.
Yeah, we're in
bad
trouble.
Shape.
Yeah,
I'm in definitely some big trouble.
Because you're doing it all the time. Do you find you're getting the calls now? It's started to pick up, or it's been picked up probably for a while?
Yeah, it's definitely starting to pick up. We're starting to see an increase in business for sure.
Just pull that microphone closer to you. Yeah, I could hear Brandon okay, but you're kind of distant sounding.
Soft talker.
Yeah, soft talker.
Customers that, have systems, we were talking about systems that might keep up, in a little bit of cooler months. Now that it's gotten really, really hot and it puts a big strain on the system, they may not be keeping up, so they call us. We go out, check the system out, see what's going on with it. Because that happens a lot. A system may keep up all year long and actually be running incorrectly, be low on refrigerant or have a weak run capacitor or something. And when it becomes summertime, then the system's working 24 hours a day trying to keep that heat load down.
Yeah, we actually went to a call, earlier this week, where the system basically wasn't cooling the air. We get there and we turn the system on, and it was actually cutting out because the pressure in the compressor outside was getting so high that it was actually kicking out on a safety overload, which of course isn't going to run the system.
Why was it getting hot?
Well, what we found out was that basically the outside condenser coil was blocked. It just had a bunch of dust and dirt that had built up over time.
Oh, okay.
And that was one thing that we had told the customer was that, probably during the cooler months it was able to maintain, but as it got hotter, it just couldn't do it anymore. And
just caked on there with dust?
Yeah, basically it was just a wall of dirt
my goodness.
And dust. And that's one thing that we do as far as general maintenance is keeping those outdoor coils and stuff clean, because the system has to breathe. It has to have a way to release the heat, and it releases it through those fins on that outdoor coil, and if it gets caked, then there's nowhere for the heat to go, and it just stays trapped in there. So
I guess the average person wouldn't, they might not know it, but they also might not have access to it, right?
Well, that's why, exactly, they may not have access to it. I know a lot of gated communities and stuff like that, they require the homeowners to build fences around their units, or units get put too close to people's homes, and you really got to keep about an 18-inch distance, to be able to service the unit. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than going to a unit and the whole thing is fenced off. I have one lady that's in Laurel Run. I have to actually pick up her whole side of her fence and pull the posts out of the ground to service her unit. and her head pressure is through the roof. And I told her a couple times, and she said, "There's nothing I can do about it. The neighbors complained or something. They made her build a fence." I said, "Well, I'll be glad to write something up saying it's taking the life off the unit." Because she's got a really high efficiency unit, and it's not being very efficient with that fence.
So what's the neighbor's problem? They don't like the way it looks or something?
Yeah. I run into that a lot. I ran into it a lot more in Naples, a lot more codes and gated communities when people would have to hide things and not see them. And when they're installed correctly, they don't really look that bad, I think. They don't look too bad.
Well, I was looking at some generators the other day, and they look...
Yeah.
They look modern. They look sleek. Now, I don't know if that's the same thing with air conditioners, but...
They've been getting that way.
Yeah,
and generators are typically quiet now compared to the old days?
Yeah,
they do a lot to box them in. They're completely insulated. And the same thing with AC units, heat pumps. They're way quieter than they used to be. Sometimes I even walk up to them and say, "What, is that compressor even running?"
Yeah.
It's amazing. Sometimes I have to actually put my amp meter on to see if the thing's running. But... the whole industry, is geared toward one, function, and then two, what does it look like, aesthetics, especially with the outdoor units where you can see them. But they are getting pretty fancy.
Let me ask you about generators, if you don't mind. I know that's not what you do, but if we have a storm and electricity goes out and we have a generator, can we run the air conditioner with a generator?
If you have a big enough one, yeah.
Has to be big, because that's a lot, right?
There's a couple of... protocols you might want to follow if you do have. I had a customer that we installed an AC system for. He had a generator. When you have a generator, we've got to put one piece of equipment in the unit called a hard start kit. But other than that, you can run them.
Really? Because I know here the generator out there only puts on the lights. The air does not come on. So we've had circumstances here at the Cascades where we're the only business with lights on, but we also don't have air. And so it gets hot real quick in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go to the phone. Good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for calling.
Morning.
Yes, good morning. With the heat pump, I was not familiar at all with heat pumps when I first come down here to Florida, and several years back, my first experience was I was walking by. It was a cool morning, and all of a sudden it kicked into hiss. It made all the steam come out, and it scared the whatchamacallit out of me. And I thought, what the heck is going on? I quick ran in the house and turned the whole thing off. I thought it was ready to blow up. So what was actually happening with that thing?
The heat pump was actually going into what's called defrost mode.
Okay.
The heat pump, when it's running on a really, really cold day, will actually ice up. And the hiss you heard was the refrigerant actually reversing in flow. And it actually essentially puts the heat pump in air conditioning mode, and it melts off that ice so fast that it actually turns to steam. But it is running normally. That's what they normally do.
Yeah, after I found out what was going on, I had a guy come over and he explained it all to me. I could see what you were saying. How it would run, and then all of a sudden that frosty stuff would go away. If you're running a unit in real cold weather and it doesn't get up to the point where it does that harm it, or should it run and go through a system?
The colder the weather, the more times it's going to go through what's called a defrost. The defrost is automatic. It's got a coil temperature sensor for the outdoor coil. And as soon as it reaches, anything below 30 degrees, it's going to run that heat pump into defrost mode. That's why heat pumps aren't really efficient to run in anything below 35 degrees. Because there's just no more heat to extract out of the air to pump into the home. And basically all they're doing is going into defrost so much, you're basically just wasting your money. And that's why they have the emergency heat strips. You can turn them on.
That's what I've been doing. I'm fortunate where I live here. I've got a gas see-through fireplace. I just kicked that on with a fan behind it, and it just, it does the job real nice.
Definitely.
But I know one thing, though, when they are nice when it's, it's 45, 50, when you still want to warm the house up, and they don't seem to be too hard on your electric bill.
No, they're not.
Yeah, it'll definitely save you money over running the electric heat for sure. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
No problem.
Yeah. Bye.
Didn't think we'd hear about heat today.
That's actually a common call I get in the winter.
Really?
Yeah, it's
in the winter. Yeah.
It's just something that the customer may not have ever heard before, because it only happens once in a while. It's not something that just happens while the unit's running. And I've had customers walk by their unit and all of a sudden it goes into that defrost mode, and it's a lot of things change.
Really?
You know, the refrigerant changes direction. It actually makes a hiss, different sounds depending on the brand of the unit, and then steam will actually come out of it. So
if you run indoors and turn it off, that's not good either.
well, you basically just, you know, it's going to reset the system, and I don't think it'll necessarily hurt the system, but that hiss and the steam and all that it's made to do that.
Wow, that's good to know, though, so that
Yeah.
when you hear it, right?
It's actually something we test when we do a maintenance.
And you have another phone call. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning. Quick
Good morning.
question for you, and I'll hang up and listen. Basically, nobody's home from, I'd say, 8 to 3, maybe 8 to 4. What's a decent... Is it wise to turn the air conditioning off for that period and then turn it back on or preset it to come back on when we come home? And I'll hang up and listen.
No. It is not wise to turn it off. Granted, every customer has their own personal preference, but I've found that, especially in the peak of summer like this, Florida is such a humid state, it's better to keep it at like 80 degrees during the day, just so it keeps that humidity down, because when you leave it off all day and let all that humidity come back into your house, the heat pump is going to be running, or split system air conditioning, whichever you have. When you get home and turn it on, it's going to be doing what's called latent work. It's going to be busy trying to pull all that humidity that you let back into the home out of the air. And humidity soaks into everything, your walls, your couches, your clothes, your carpet. So it spends hours pulling that humidity back out rather than actually changing the temperature of the room. So it is actually more cost effective to just leave it at like 79, 80 degrees. Some people leave it at 81, 82, depending on how hot your house gets during the day, but just as long as that system's running a little bit throughout the day to pull that humidity out of the air.
Yeah, wow, it soaks into the walls, huh? I never knew that.
I have had it where that's why a lot of painters,
painters
can't paint. I have seen where, like, plaster, when they're plastering walls for drywall, it just won't dry.
Oh, wow.
And I've seen drywall in extremely humid conditions that you could go and just poke your finger right through, because it sucks all that humidity up.
Well, and that's so our air conditioners really are our best dehumidifiers.
Yes.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's definitely an important thing down here, like he had mentioned. You know, it's so humid. I mean, we take humidity readings, you know, on our just our standard service calls, and most of the times in the morning it's, you know, 78, 80% humidity.
Right.
You know, and that leaks into your house. Like he said, it gets into your walls. If you're not drawing that humidity out, you know, between that and the heat, you can have mold issues, things like that. So it's,
you know what I don't quite understand, and see if I can express this. In the desert parts, like in Arizona, I know that their air conditioners actually put humidity into the home, right? Am I right
they
so
have
far?
humidifiers built into their air conditioners.
Right.
Okay, so it's like the opposite problem we have.
Exactly.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, you need a certain amount of humidity to stay cool, obviously. If you take it all out, that's not good either.
I would say to stay comfortable. I've got a customer that's from out west, and he's comfortable with 30 to 40% humidity. If you stick me in 30 to 40% humidity, just all of a sudden, like tomorrow, my nose is going to be cracking, and, you know, I'm going to have chapstick on my lips, and we're just not used to that as fast. It's kind of like a person that's used to growing up in Colorado winters versus Florida.
Okay.
You know, it's just a little different. And the same goes with people that aren't used to this humidity. They come down here, and it's something I don't know if you ever get used to, because I still haven't. And people are just so hot, they can't believe their house is... Average humidity range for this time of year is about between 45 and 55% humidity with the air conditioning running.
Okay.
So you find that happy medium, and once you're in that ballpark, that's pretty comfortable to where it's not drying out your skin, it's not drying everything out, but it's not too wet inside the home.
So operative word is comfort, not cool.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we have a lot of thermostats out there that work on humidity versus...
So if somebody from Florida moved to Arizona, would you set your humidifier higher? Actually put more? I mean, would you, just a guess, I guess, is what would I want if I moved there? And then, like, maybe after I've been there a year, I got used to it, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
the same?
I would imagine a lot of people don't even use humidifiers there. They may have them, or if they have sinus problems, something like that, they may have like roll-around humidifiers where you can just put them in your room. But I have to laugh at humidifiers in Florida because they just don't exist.
It doesn't make sense.
I used to see them for sale at like Walgreens or something like that.
Wow.
And it's only for people that a lot of the elderly may use them for their bedrooms when they're sleeping, because for some reason high humidity equals less sinus problems. I'm not sure.
Really?
My grandmother used to have a lot of sinus problems where she would go out to Arizona and she'd be fine out there. As soon as she come to Florida, she'd have nothing but headaches, and she figured out it was from the humidity. So in her case, she wanted a dehumidifier.
A dehumidifier, yeah. Huh. Well, and they sell dehumidifiers in like Sears, etc.
They do.
Right.
So I guess people have both, air conditioning and but we already went through this once in a previous show that you can install a dehumidifying unit in addition to the dehumidifying that happens naturally with an air conditioner.
You can. Very rarely do you actually need it. If system is set up properly, you don't necessarily need a dehumidifier. I've seen instances where somebody may have a fountain right in the middle of their home, like literally putting all that, like a body of water inside your home, condensing and putting humidity in the air, where they may have more of a dehumidifier.
That must be a nice home, a fountain in the middle.
Yeah, I've seen a couple.
Do you think a refrigerator works better in an air-conditioned room?
Absolutely. They're insulated, but the cooler the air that's outside of the fridge, the easier it is to keep the air cool on the inside.
Yeah.
Same thing with air conditioners. Even though they're insulated, that air conditioner has to, in theory, work that much harder to keep that air cold on the inside of it.
Right.
When it's, the attic I was in yesterday was probably about 125 degrees.
Wow.
So it's sweltering up there.
Wow.
So in order to keep that air cool on the inside, I definitely prefer the units that are on the ground, downstairs, vertical, in the garage. They're, from a service standpoint, they are definitely much easier to work on.
Under the refrigerator, there's like an evaporation tray where the water goes and then it evaporates.
Right.
Is there something like that in an air conditioner?
Well, there is a tray there that the water runs into, but there's a piece of PVC pipe that comes off of that tray and runs outside. So it actually will drain.
So the idea is
into
to drain,
pipe.
not to evaporate.
Right. It just drains.
Why they don't do that
outside,
with the refrigerators?
It's only a little bit of water with refrigerators. It's only pulling a little bit of condensation out of the refrigerator air. With your home, your average customers really can't believe this, but you pull anywhere from 15 to 20 gallons of water a day. And if you ever see that drain line outside dripping, that's a lot of water.
Wow. So a broken one can cause a flood.
Absolutely.
That's like a giant fish tank, like a 20-gallon fish tank breaking every day.
We did one yesterday where we were about an hour away from this whole office building flooding out.
Wow.
And we were lucky we had just gotten there to fix it.
And it's one drip at a time.
Well,
sometimes they
flows
pour
a
out.
steady stream.
Yeah, the job he's talking about, we vacuumed out that pan into a 2.5-gallon vacuum, and I emptied it 10 times.
Wow.
So
I'm surprised. I didn't even realize that. All right, let's go to the phone. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Larry, this is Howard. How are you guys this morning?
Hey, Howard.
How are you doing?
Hey, I may have missed this because I just tuned in about 10 minutes ago, but you were talking about putting the air handler inside to keep it cooler. The outside unit, is there any benefit to, say, putting an awning over the outside heat pump unit?
Well, with heat pumps, you want them in the sun in the winter and in the shade in the summer.
So a retractable awning then could help.
It could. Just make sure you don't put it too low, as long as it's at least 5 or 6 feet above that heat pump, because that hot air is coming out of the heat pump. You don't want it hitting that awning and coming right back down and flowing into the condenser. So as long as the awning is high up enough above the condenser, it does help. It helps the system be more efficient and run more efficient.
Now, not knowing my circumstance and what I have, is it cost effective to put an awning in then? I mean, if say they cost you a couple $100, are you going to recoup that over 10 years or so?
You might. I can't guarantee it, though.
Okay.
You may
everything
not.
is a cost recoup for the homeowner, but I mean, if you're going to own your home for another 20 years or so, I'm just wondering, would you save just a little bit of electricity and make your thing more efficient?
Not that I would say be feasible enough to put in a really, really nice retractable awning. I think it might be necessary, not necessary, but somebody would do it maybe on an 18 or 20 SEER, like extremely high efficient system, just to help the efficiency out. But I really don't see you're going to see that much savings.
And I missed early on is we've been in the house 30 years. We're thinking of having somebody come in and blow another couple of inches into the attic. Is insulation always worth the investment?
Always worth the investment. And if you want to go one step further, I highly recommend the spray foam insulation. It is fantastic. It's amazing what they can do with that stuff. And I will tell you right now, you will see a difference on your electric bill with that versus an awning over your condenser.
Now, when you say spray foam, are you talking the stuff that blows up between the, up onto the roof itself, inside of the roof itself?
Exactly. They actually come in with a special truck. A gentleman goes up in your attic with a special, spray nozzle and sprays swaths of spray foam in between your trusses, under your roof. And it not only locks all your trusses together, it makes your house just feel more solid, but it's also completely sealing your attic. What it does is it keeps your attic temperature plus or minus 10 degrees what it is in the home. And it really helps to keep homes really efficient.
Because that's actually insulating your ductwork, whereas blown-in insulation does not insulate your ductwork typically.
Exactly.
Boy, okay, are there a couple of good contractors in town that do that?
I know of one, BioBase. I don't have their phone number, but a friend of mine actually works for them. And
I can Google that. That's not a problem.
Yeah, BioBase, they actually come in. There's a couple of different actual brands of insulation, like the BioBased, and then there's Isonine. I know the BioBased is a bio-friendly, earth-friendly type of material they use.
Well, thanks. I'll probably look at the cost difference between that and see, and as long as we're staying in the house another 20 years, I'm sure it's going to make it worthwhile.
It is a good investment, as well as windows, too.
Yeah, we already have the double-pane windows in, and we pull heavy curtains in the summer.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a good candidate for, if you do get the insulation done, I would look into getting a high-efficiency system.
Well, and
after
that's going to be our next step, because it's been about 10 years since we've had our unit changed. So.
Yeah, because you would be one to benefit from it. I don't usually recommend systems like that to people that have a home built in the 1920s and you can see through the floor and it's just not insulated well. Yeah. But a good home, I can get anywhere from 600 to 800 square feet per ton of air conditioning with a high-efficiency system in a well-insulated home.
Well, thanks for the information. Thank
You're
you, guys.
welcome.
Thank you.
Take care.
By the way, the old jail is having an auction on Saturday, and
I saw that.
Did you see that? And
yeah.
Among the things on the list, air conditioning.
Really?
Did you see that?
Wow. Old jail. Here in Marion County?
Yeah. It's up the road, not too far from Jerry's Pawn and Gun. I'm having a hard time remembering it, too. But I was here then.
What are they auctioning off?
Oh, they got desks and doors and windows, and there's air conditioning stuff on.
Must be like rooftop units.
They have ductwork.
Selling.
They're ductwork. They're auctioning off.
I know we're doing I'm not sure how we don't do Marion, but we do all of Alachua County. We're doing their jail right now. We are in the process of doing huge chiller.
Oh, really?
Jail. Yeah.
Well, this is the old jail, and I think they've just been using it for storage for the last 15, 20 years, maybe.
Oh, wow.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
What are they doing with the building?
I think that's just going to be... Rob, what are they doing with the building? Storage? Yeah, they're going to make it a storage place.
Huh.
What has it been since up till now?
It's still been storage.
Oh, it's just been storage.
Just more government offices.
yeah, but I guess if you want some cheap stuff, you know what's going to happen? Somebody's going to buy one of those old air conditioners, and you've got your work cut out for it.
Oh, then they're going to call me expecting me. They're going to buy a 10-ton unit expecting it to work on their house, and it's just not going to work.
What's your number, guys?
291-0185.
All right, and call us if you need that repeated. Climate Control Mechanical Services is the name you're looking for. The website is, what is it?
ClimateControl4Home.com.
Climate Control 4 Home?
4 home, the number 4.
4 home. Okay, didn't know that one. Okay, well, thank you for coming in. As always fun. Stay cool. I know it's hard to.
Yeah,
This is the only time of day I'll be
Impossible.
cool.
Not going to be cool. All right. We'll be right back.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.